Good morning. Welcome back. This is our 5th episode of my favorite conductors. I'll link to a couple of the previous episodes in cards at the end of the video. But just before we begin, a big thank you for your continued support of the channel. A like and subscribe goes a long way. We love your comments too. Also, please join us for our Everything Classical Music live stream every Wednesday at 5 p.m. PST on this channel. So far, it's been a thrill for me and my co-host, Scott Wilson of The Pressing Matters, to bring it to you. Thank you. Now to the great Swiss conductor Ernest Ansermet. Ansermet was born in 1883 and died in 1969. He first rose to fame as music director of the famous Ballet Russe in Paris and befriended Debussy, Ravel, and Stravinsky. He became renowned for masterful interpretations of their works. Like all the best leaders, throw out your own shingle. So, he formed his own orchestra in 1918, the Orchestra de la Suisse Romande. His orchestra was based in Geneva and played concerts at the very beautiful and acoustically perfect Victoria Hall. This is where Decca sent their engineering team led by Roy Wallace, and all Ansermet's famous Decca Londons were recorded there. Ansermet worked diligently to staff the orchestra with only Swiss musicians, so by 1946 they made up 80% of the players. This may have been an admirable goal, but with a population of only 4 million, the cream of orchestral players, the very top talent, was playing in other recording orchestras of the day in cities like Berlin, Vienna, Chicago, Boston, Amsterdam, and London. On some Ansermet recordings, these slightly lower orchestral standards, I believe, devalued some of the recordings. But what is not in doubt are the marvelous interpretations and recording quality of Ansermet's many records. I'll give you some streaming and CD options, then we'll get into the vinyl releases. With hundreds of recordings in both mono and stereo, you are bound to find a great recording blessed with equally good playing. As for prices, original London and Decca in near-mint condition are highly sought after. We'll talk pricing in a moment. Ansermet died aged 85 in Geneva. I'll link to a documentary video of him with lots of rehearsal footage. You'll see a conductor of modest demeanor, upright yet uncompromising. He, like many conductors, could also be very stubborn, yet his fame continues due to his ability to convey complex scores with apparent ease, all recorded in glorious Decca sound. So, let's get to the good stuff. Let's begin with streaming. These are from Cobos, so we can get them at high res. The high res is 24-bit, 96 kilohertz stereo. And the first one is one of the most famous recordings Ansermet made, music by Debussy, one of his colleagues he met in Paris. And this is La Mer, Prélude à l'après-midi d'une faune, and Je. La Mer and Prélude à l'après-midi d'une faune are very, very famous. Je, slightly less so. Je was also a ballet written for the Ballet Russe, for the Diaghilev's outfit, that Ansermet was music director of. And Debussy had to come up with a story about a tennis game. So it's a ballet about a tennis match with all sorts of intrigue. The thing about Je is not very famous, but it is a wonderful piece. I will tell you, in all my experiences of playing music in the orchestra, not conducting, I've never conducted Je, but playing Je is the most difficult piece of music I've ever sat in the orchestra and watched the conductor try to put the thing together. Nothing makes sense in Je. That's maybe why it's not as popular as La Mer and Prélude à l'après-midi d'une faune. But it's a marvelous piece. It's incredibly difficult, individually technically to play, but putting the thing together is a real challenge. And this is a good recording, as good recording as any. There's some string parts that sometimes elude the players a little bit, very, very challenging up high ensemble music. But I think you'll enjoy it. But the other two pieces are first-class performances. And the second stream you should do is the Ravel box set, the Orchestral Masterpieces. Again, just first-class performances, beautifully recorded. These are on a Decca. It says 2 CD, but you can stream them. This is not high-res, but it's still a marvelous sound. That's wonderful. As far as CDs, why not just go for the 88 CD box set? I know it's expensive, but you get 88 CDs, everything. You can see the artwork there, just original artwork on the CD covers, the Firebird and other things. It's just a marvelous, marvelous box set. It is expensive, but if you love Ansermet and you love the London and Decca recordings, these CDs will fit the bill. First up for the vinyl is a Speaker's Corner reissue of this amazing Decca SXL 2017. This is an original recording by Roy Wallace, the great Roy Wallace. There's the Decca wideband label. This is a wonderful recording, very subtle, very beautiful, all the colors that Stravinsky envisaged when he was 26 years old. He wrote an hour's music in 6 weeks, and a genius. The Firebird is very, very difficult. Like Jeu, very difficult to put together. By far the most difficult of the Stravinsky ballets. And they play it very well. There's no doubt about it. They can play it. But it is not as good as the LSO on the Mercury with Girardi, which is one of the greatest orchestral recordings of all time. So this is definitely a runner-up second. As far as the recording is concerned, there are none better. It's just absolutely exquisite. All the Oriental percussion and the orchestral effects, just absolutely beautiful. This is another Speaker's Corner, Stravinsky's second ballet, Petrushka. Again, beautiful cover, beautifully printed, great colors. And the Decca label, wideband. The sound is, again, wonderful. This is an exquisite Roy Wallace recording. So subtle, the piccolos and the high strings and the muted strings and the high tuba when he's doing the bear and the end. Also, the piano, which is a very, very important part of Petrushka. It was actually originally conceived as a concertante for piano and orchestra, but he changed it into a ballet. But the piano part is, wow, very difficult. Anyway, they play it well. It's very much like the Firebird. Ansermet really whips up the tempos, especially in the 3/8, 2/8, 5/8 sections in the opening of the Shrovetide Fair, because it's very challenging. It's quite hard to play slowly. If you get it going and can beat it in one in a bar, it kind of covers up a whole multitude of sins, so to speak. So he really whips up the tempo, but it's very good. It doesn't beat the Boston Symphony on analog productions with Monteur. That's still probably the best one available for audiophiles. But this is very, very good. You'll enjoy it. This is an original London blueback. There you go, London. CS 6190. This is an interesting program, Stravinsky Symphony in C, which is a very nice piece, very neoclassical, lovely piece, and the magnificent Symphony in 3 movements, which is one of my favorite pieces, a really fantastic, energetic piece. There it is, Ansermet with his orchestra, and the London label. Show you the blueback. I'm not sure if the blue hue, very particular blue hue you can see. But I got this for next to nothing in the used bins, and it's clean and a quick go on the degritter, and it sounds fantastic. It's a very good performance. Again, not as good as others, but, with, the London Symphony and Berlin Phil, but it's very, very good. This is an original I purchased recently. This cost quite a bit of money. Talking about Decca and London Ansermet originals, they can get pricey. This one was about $100, shipped from Europe. This is his famous performance of Debussy Image and Stravinsky Symphonies of Wind Instruments, which is a fantastic piece. If you don't know it, another neoclassical piece by Stravinsky, and the famous Ravel Pavane, which receives a lovely performance. So this is interesting because, Anthony, why do you spend that much money if the performances aren't the best? Well, sometimes the performances are first class, and this one is just magic from beginning to end. The orchestra plays superbly for Ansermet. The interpretations are so beautiful. They're very natural. Everything unfolds beautifully. And of course, we get all the homage. We get Gigue, and then we get the whole Iberia, which is sometimes played separately. And that's, of course, the famous Chicago. Reiner is a very, very good one. And then the Ronde de Printemps. It's wonderful. And the symphonies of wind instruments, except for a little bit of out-of-tune clarinet playing at the beginning, it's pretty well flawless. So that's a very good one. A Decca. It's SXL 2287. Again, not cheap. This was a wideband, so it cost me quite a bit of money. And the cover wasn't too bad either. Needed a bit of cleaning up. This is another very special original. This is a London blueback. I purchased also about $100. Two of Ansermet's specialties. This is Ma Loire of the Goose, and also the Debussy Nocturnes, two of my favorite pieces. Absolutely glorious performances by Ansermet and the orchestra. These pieces must have really inspired the orchestra. They're not as difficult as Jeux and Firebird and Petrushka. Not even close to being as difficult as those pieces. So they could technically play them easily. But the sound is so beautiful, and the sound of the recording is absolutely glorious. So London, show the blue back. Again, this was about $100. It says CS 6023. And highly recommend it. I love the cover. Look at that cover. Some of the London covers were so funky. This one is on a Speaker's Corner reissue. This is one of the best Speaker's Corners reissues I've got. I've spoken about this in a previous video about Speaker's Corner recordings. This is the Decca reprint reissue is beautiful. There's the famous cover of the Defier three-cornered hat. An absolutely magnificent performance with Teresa Berganza, wonderful Spanish singer, in Victoria Hall. And for some reason, everything works. This does beat the LSO on Everest, and also the Philharmonia on EMI. I have both of those recordings. They're both wonderful. The orchestral playing is great, probably as good as the way the L'Orchestre de Suisse Romande, but this was magic from beginning to end. He makes the piece work. Everything flows beautifully. The orchestral playing is superb, technically brilliant. But the recording is to die for. It's something magical about this recording, the depth, the imaging of the instruments, the sound of the instruments reflecting, in the middle of Victoria Hall. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I have this coming on the Esoteric reissue, which I'm going to review in full for Audiophilia, so you'll see which one I think is better. I've never heard an original. An original goes for $1,000 on Decca, and even a London is up there as well. And I've not heard the OIG Bernie Grumman recut of the London. I'm sure that's amazing. But I'll be honest with you, when I was thinking about buying that, and it was about $180 on Discogs, I was thinking, and I put this on, and this is so gorgeous. I'm thinking, how could this be bettered? And finally, Ansermet's most famous recording, and this isn't even with the L'Orchestre de Suisse Romande. This is the Royal Ballet Gala performances on RCA. This is a Classic Records reissue in the Soria series. You can see, so it's a 2-record set. Beautiful booklet printed. RCA Victor. This is with the orchestra of the Royal Opera House Covent Garden, giving you an idea of what their Royal Ballet Gala evenings are like with their great dancers. Just the most magnificent recording from Kingsway Hall. Ansermet knows this music backwards. It's a Swan Lake, Nutcracker, very good Nutcracker, Sleeping Beauty, Sylphide, Les Sylphides, Coppelia, Giselle, all the great ballets, Boutique Fantastique and Carnaval. I cannot recommend this highly enough, but you don't need me to tell you this. Everybody knows this is like the #1 audiophile record to get as far as orchestral performances and recordings are concerned. You will not find better. The performances are first class, as good as any, as well played as any you're going to find. Ansermet's interpretations are straightforward but very beautiful, but the recording is fantastic. Highly recommended. So that's it. I have the Oberon Overtures by Ansermet coming. I found that. It wasn't that expensive, but it was an original blueback. So we'll see how that sounds. I cannot recommend highly enough Ansermet's recordings. Again, the playing is not always the very best compared to Berlin and Vienna, etc. But as far as the recording is concerned, you're not going to get any better. Whether on Decca or London, just exquisite recordings by Roy Wallace and his team in the Victoria Hall. So enjoy those. I hope I've given you some recommendations you can search out, listen to. You can certainly stream on Cobos or even Apple Music. You'll get a good representation. The CD box is very expensive, but there you go. And some of the records can get expensive, but you may get lucky in the used bins. So thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your support. Have a great day. and we'll see you on the next video.